Lives flashing before your eyes.
Pray for mercy from Puss in Boots. Espresso.
But I want to move on to the first part of my stream, and that is my review for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Now, I was not able to see this film in 2022. I was just so busy. I mean, it's the holidays when this movie came out. I managed to see a whole bunch of other films, and this was always on my list for quite some time, especially because of everyone's rave reviews and opinions on the film. Made me very, very interested. But yet, and it's now available on VOD. And I was able to check it out on VOD. And I have some thoughts and I have some opinions on this latest DreamWorks film, chat. What is considered to be the 6th installment in the Shrek film franchise, since Puss in Boots is a spin-off of the Shrek franchise, chat. Obviously, Puss in Boots, voiced by Antonio Banderas, first appeared in Shrek 2, a fantastic movie, chat. One of my favorite animated films of the 2000s. I love that film. And the original Shrek as well. And the Puss in Boots was one of those standout characters in that original film. But for those that don't know, for this particular movie, chat, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, it is set after the Shrek quadrilogy, after Shrek 1, 2, the third, and Forever After, which I have not seen Forever After, chat. I've only seen the first 3 Shrek movies. And I have seen the original Puss in Boots. And it's, obviously Puss in Boots was a prequel to the events of the Shrek films. So I was like, all right, this is the most recent entry within that franchise. And it follows Puss in Boots, who's going on this journey to find the mystical last wish from the wishing star, which has crashed into the earth and wiped out, chat. I mean, just tons, entire species of woodland critters. I was like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. Wiped them all out, chat, wiped them all out. And everyone's seeking the last wishing star, and Puss in Boots is one of those people, okay? Because he's spent his last 8 lives, chat, and he's going through a midlife crisis, or in his case, an end-life crisis, and he has to team up with a whole bunch of characters, chat. Kitty Softpaws, voiced by Selma Hayek, who returns from the prequel movie Puss in Boots. New character, chat, Perrito, this little demented, very pathetic and sad, but very funny Chihuahua. And also compete against a number of villains, ne'er-do-wells, who also want the last wishing star, chat, want that last wish for themselves. Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, Jack Horner, chat, Big Jack Horner, chat, and also being pursued by the big bad wolf, Death himself, chat, who yearns to take the last life of Puss in Boots. The stakes are high, and it's a lot of villains too, chat. It's like, that's a lot for this particular movie. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, how are they going to balance all this stuff, right? But before I kind of go into my overall thoughts, I kind of wanted to talk about just, the original, well, obviously the Puss in Boots character, I've already said. I like the character a lot. Antonio Banderas does a great job in a terrific debut in Shrek 2. Honestly, I can't remember. I know he's in Shrek the Third, but I don't really remember his role in that movie. Honestly, it's been so long. I just remember just really disliking that film. No idea in Shrek Forever After. Never saw it. I did see Puss in Boots 1, the prequel movie. I thought it was okay. I liked it. It was a nice little spin-off film. There's nothing that really stood out. Nothing too special for me. Just explain his origins, and it goes through the whole rigmarole with that, chat. Things that happen, you're like, yeah, I expected that to happen, yada, yada, yada. Twists and turns, expected twists and turns, introduced to a new supporting cast of characters who do stand out. So when they announced this movie, when they're like, they're going to make another Puss in Boots, even before we saw all the trailers, okay? Or the teasers. Certainly that first full-length trailer, then later on the second one. But when they announced they're going to make another Puss in Boots, I was like, why? The Shrek franchise, even though I love the first 2 movies, I feel like it's kind of run its course at this point. I'm curious what DreamWorks is going to be, at least at the time, what DreamWorks was going to be doing with it. And I was like, okay, another Puss in Boots movie. And is there a demand for it? Is there audience interest? I mean, I know the first one did rather well. I think it did respectable business, chat. It made money, no doubt about it. It was able to keep the Shrek franchise alive for a little bit longer. But even I was like, I wasn't really interested. However, after the first trailer for this movie, The Last Wish came out, I was very surprised. I mean, there's a number of things that obviously stood out. It was just the change in animation style. It's not exactly, but it's obvious that DreamWorks was very inspired by a lot of recent Sony animated films, stuff like Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse and Mitchell vs. the Machines. You know, it's also, you could say it's similar to something like Arcane in a way. It's like, yeah, it's very much 3D character models, but there's almost like this layer of 2D animation on top. And they also adjust the frame rate in certain points in the movie chat. They take out certain frames. It kind of becomes choppy, and it doesn't, I mean, probably it makes it less expensive, but I don't know, it makes the action stand out a little bit more. It was just more, I don't know, something so artistic about it. Just really stood out to me. Like in all the trailers, and the backgrounds too felt different than what we've previously seen in a lot of DreamWorks animated movies, especially when it comes to 3D ones, where it almost looked like paintings, like matte paintings or things that are hand painted. I was like, okay, I was really into that. I thought the marketing was great for the movie, and I was like, I wanted to see it, but again, you know, in theaters. But it just came out at a time where I was swamped with so much stuff, and the holidays, of course. But after, you know, finally taking the time, Jed, since I was sick, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this movie. Okay, I'm going to watch it on VOD, even though I wanted to see it in the theater. It's the best circumstances for me, at least right now. And I have to tell you, Chad, that this is a significant improvement over the original Puss in Boots film, and I feel like the past Shrek universe films that I've seen in every way. I was just floored by the beginning of this movie, because this movie is so well paced. It's, I think, the official running time is like an hour and 45 minutes, but it's it's just slightly over an hour and a half, like an hour 35, hour 37. And it just it feels like it never stops in terms of the action opens up with a brilliant kind of musical number, an action sequence that goes from like him liberating this town, celebrating this townspeople, which he forgets the name of the town, and then like the governor returns, and that causes a whole fight scene, and with swords and guns going off. This awakens a massive troll, this giant chat that attacks, and Puss has to defeat this thing. I just love that escalation. And it ends with a joke. So much of this movie, it's like it has this escalation, and it either ends that escalation with something that is very, very funny. In the movie chat, the sense of humor in this movie is fantastic. I mean, when it comes to the Shrek franchise, I think the last film of theirs that I laughed as hard at was Shrek 2, which was very, very funny. And then, of course, the original Shrek is hilarious as well. But I was very impressed with the writing, the comedic timing of all the characters, and the variety of comedic performances in this movie. But after every kind of scene of escalation, it either ends with a joke or like this really wholesome moment. Like there's a lot of characters in here that actually get full arcs in this movie. And even though I'm thinking, okay, you're just going to use this character as a gag or as a bit or as a one-off, how they work around to them, I was very impressed by that. But in terms of like the original, the new characters they bring here, like Harvey Guillén as Perito, who's this very just kind of pathetic and sad and completely unaware Chihuahua who befriends Puss and Kitty Softpaws, which is kind of like Puss's paramour from the previous movie. I thought, his performance was absolutely adorable. He's very much the heart of the film. He's just like, everything's amazing, everything's great, and they really go into his character and his background and what he's been through, and it's like, oh my god, it's great. And then you have other characters I thought like, okay, they're just gonna be kind of side comedic characters like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and you have Florence Pugh, who's the voice of Goldilocks, a number of other actors who I think Ray Winstone is the voice of Papa Bear, and Olivia Colman is the voice of Mama Bear. I forget the voice of Baby Bear. I'm not sure. Samson Kao, I'm not familiar with him. And they're initially, when they're introduced, they're all great, but man, they have an arc for them, which is all about family. But it's well earned and it works spectacularly. I absolutely loved it. I adored it. And then for Puss and Kitty Softpaws themselves, I love their story and them starting to be more honest with each other as they go on this journey, and for like Puss to accept the mistakes that he's made in his past and trying to be better. And the same thing with Kitty. And finding trust in each other where they've always second guessed each other the entire time. I thought that was a really nice, wholesome story, and finding that courage in him, which he never thought he originally had. I love that. And the other side of the movie, chat, outside the heroes and some of the more supporting characters, maybe they start out as antagonists, but they change over time. The villains in this movie are great. I absolutely love, like, first of all, John Mulaney as Big Jack Horner. He's very much, little Jack Horner. It's like, in his corner, eating his pies and all that. He is just this unabashedly evil person, and he revels in, like, what a big piece of shit that he is. He's like, I love being evil. And it's great. You think, like, oh, that's such a one-note villain. But I don't know. He just brings this fantastic malice and just kind of like a wink to the audience, like I'm really bad, but I just enjoy how evil I am. Like, he takes so much pleasure in it, chat. I love it. And his design is just so grotesque and gross. It's it's funny. It kind of reminded me to a degree. I feel like The Last Wish is definitely inspired by a lot of Sony animated films, especially Spider-Verse. Like, his design was very reminiscent to me of something like Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, from the first Spider-Verse movie. It's like, I like that, where he has this huge body, this huge upper body, but he has, like, these legs that are, like, super thin and emaciated, and how he, like, walks around. It's like, it's this grotesque, very funny design that I loved. And then, I think for a lot of people, the biggest standout of the movie is the wolf. I want to say what the wolf actually is in the movie. He says it straight up, if you will. But who is, I opened my stream with the image. Like, every time he shows up, the tone of the movie changes. He is the most threatening, I think, force or villain to grace the Shrek franchise ever. I don't think there's anything like them. He's just so intimidating, but, like, every word that he says, you're just enthralled by it. Like, and the actor, which I'm unfamiliar with the actor in this film, Wagner Moura. He's a Brazilian actor. He is fantastic in his delivery, chat. It's just something about it. Like, and he has this, like, he has, like, this evil whistle. That's his theme, which he's about to come in. It's like, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. And all of the animation with him too, like when we get some duels between him and Puss, which happens several times in the film, spectacular. I love that. That's when they do the choppy frame rate with that, but it always works. There's never a time where I felt like, this feels like a gimmick. This feels cheap. It's like, it doesn't. It's just something about it with that art style and the paint and the 2D over it. I thought it was brilliant looking. But yeah, every time he shows up on screen, it's like, whoa, what's gonna happen next? And he gets like a monologue, like at like, I don't know, at the beginning of the last third of the movie. And it is great. It's intimidating, and it's very, very scary. There's also other supporting actors. There's a great bit with a Jiminy Cricket-esque character. It's like, oh, how you guys doing? And I thought he was fucking hilarious every time he showed up. He's not in the movie long, but when he does it, he made me laugh the fuck out. Just this voice, like, I'm your conscience, and like who he's teamed up with or who he's trying to be the conscience for. It's like, oh boy, Jiminy, you have your work cut out for you. I thought it was adorable and so funny. Also, this movie, they kill a lot of people in this film. I was like, because I thought back, I was like, I guess the Shrek franchise has killed some people. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's implied that they die, or it's like sight gags, But this movie, its body count is staggering. They kill a lot of people off. Sometimes it's humor. Sometimes it's like, oh, that's fucked up. It's like, oh my God. But the thing is, like, hey, that was fucked up, right? Want to watch us do it again? No. Oh, here we go. And they do it. Hey, want to watch us do it again? It's like, no. And they keep doing it. I like that. I thought that was really cool. It is a dark sense of humor. It's like, hey, kids are mature enough. You're going to have fun with it. Like, the way in which they dispatch a lot of these, red shirt characters or these henchmen or these thugs that were pretty cool. I really loved it for that. In terms of complaints, like, I really don't have anything to complain about this movie. Like, it's perfectly paced. It has a constant escalation, and when it de-escalates, it always ends up with a really nice joke or a really wholesome character building moment. All the characters, like especially the primary protagonists, they have great arcs. Everyone from Puss to Kitty Softpaws to Perrito. to Goldilocks and the three bears. I didn't even think. I was like, oh, that's one of the best parts of the movie. And then all the villains. The villains are just so much fun to see. Just them just loving being villainous. From the wolf to Big Jack Horner. Yeah, I and the animation is great. The score is beautiful. There are little Easter eggs for those who are big Shrek fans. They do mention, and the thing is, like, when they have these Easter eggs, they're not like in your face, like, here it is. It's like, oh, it makes sense in the context of the scene or the context of the movie. Like, they reference Shrek, they reference Donkey and things, but like the way in which they're brought up is great. It and like when we get toward the end of the film too, there's a nice, like, oh, I think I see what they're going to be doing with the Shrek franchise, Chad, or what they might be hinting at, or what they might be leading towards. It's like, all right, maybe this animation style and I don't know, just this quality of storytelling. Maybe we're gonna see a Shrek film in this style, which has me very, very excited. I think that's exciting. I can't wait for it. But yeah, we're all chat. Yeah, I think this is just a great movie. I've literally no complaints about the film. Oh man, if I were to give this a rating, it might be a better than Sex on the double toasted scale, chat. It's one of the best animated films of the year. Head and shoulders right next to something like Pixar's Turning Red. I hope more people are able to check it out, and I hope this is the level and this is the quality of future DreamWorks films, certainly within the Shrek franchise, in the near future. They certainly seem to be hinting at that, which is very exciting. But yeah, overall, chat, I love the movie. What about you guys? What do you think about Puss in Boots and The Last Wish? I'm very, very curious.